Hey guys, Adam from FlyerHeroes.com here. Today I'm going to take you through a tutorial on how to make a club flyer design in Photoshop. Firstly, let me say it's a little bit windy outside my apartment today, so I apologize if there is some background noise. I'll do my best to remove that when I put the tutorial together later. Also, I will include a download link, so wherever you're watching this tutorial right now, whether on YouTube, on Facebook, on the FlyerHeroes blog, just have a look for a link, and I will include links to any assets that I use, such as this city image, which is a free image from Wikipedia. Any fonts, the fonts we'll be using are free. I will, however, be using this stock image. The stock image is one I purchased from depositphotos.com. You don't need to use the same image. However, I will throw a link in for it so you can go take a look. Anyway, let's get on with this flyer design. So I'm going to start by just making my background black. And then I'm going to create a new layer. Just give it a solid color fill. And we're going to create a vignette. To do that, double click and create a gradient. I'm going to set the gradient to radial. Just reverse that. It just needs to be a simple black and white gradient. That's good. I'm going to call this layer vignette. And I want to give it a nice halftone effect. So I'm going to start by converting it to a smart object. And then I'm going to open the smart object. For those of you who've never worked with smart objects, this little icon means a layer is a smart object. If you double click on that layer, a new window will open. It kind of makes a single Photoshop layer become its own Photoshop document. Alright, so we've opened our smart object layer. I'm going to go to Image Mode Grayscale. And then I'm going to go again to Image Mode Bitmap. It's going to ask me to flatten layers. Click OK. Resolution 300 pixels an inch. Method halftone screen. Okay. In this dialog box, sometimes I have to play around with it a little. I'm gonna stick with. I'm gonna move that down to 12 actually. That's a little bit too much, so I'm just gonna Command and Z to undo that. Do it again. Bitmap, 300 pixels an inch, halftone screen. I'm gonna increase that to about 20. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Alright, so now back image mode grayscale, image mode CMYK. So the reason I went into that bitmap, if you've never used bitmaps before, converting a document into a bitmap turns it into just white and black pixels. So any pixels that are less than 50% black will turn to white, and any that are more than 50% black will turn to black. So now that I've turned it back to CMYK color, I can double click this background layer to unlock it. I can go to select, color range. I can click on a white pixel, click OK, and you'll see that the marching ants have appeared. This, the moving marquee line. Now that's appeared, I want to just hit back on my keyboard to delete all those white pixels. Alright, deselect, save that by going to File or Save, or just Command and S on the keyboard. Then close the window. And because I moved it to black, you won't see it. I'm just going to fill the background with like a dark gray color. Alright, you can see our vignette has appeared. It's sort of like bitmap grading. I need to make it a little bit darker on the background. Alright, so group these layers, call it background. I'm going to add another vignette in. This time I'm not going to do it with bitmap. I'm going to start by filling the layer with black. I'm going to select my elliptical marquee tool, so M on the keyboard, Shift and M to cycle through them. The feather, set the feather here to 150 pixels. click in the middle of the canvas, see where these guides meet, click, hold down the Alt key and drag the marquee tool out to the edges like this. Alright, again, just hit backspace on the keyboard to delete the contents of the marquee tool, deselect, and you'll see we now have this sort of vignette effect on the background. Okay, again, rename that. Alright, that's our background set up. So now I want you to select the shape tool, the rectangular shape tool, which is U on the keyboard. And if it's not selected the rectangle, just, you can cycle through the different types here. Again, you can just press Shift and U, cycle through them all. Alright, set a shape out, something like that. Then select the Move tool, V on the keyboard, click the edge, right click, select Skew, just drag this down like that. Move it up so it looks a little bit more like that. Okay, right, now I want to place my city image on top of that. So grab the city image that I've given you a download link for, place it onto the canvas, make sure it's large enough to cover the entire rectangle that you've just skewed. And then we want to create a clipping mask. So right click on this city image and select create clipping mask. Or alternatively, you can hold down the Alt key and just scroll over in between the two layers. So if your cursor is in between both layers and you hold the Alt key, you'll see it changes into this sort of arrow. You just click that and you create a clipping mask. Alright, now I want to make the image black and white. So my background is already black. I'm going to change the blend mode of the city image to luminosity, which will knock out all the color. Alright, so there's our city image. Let's group those. Just call it city. Now I want to place my my stock image on top. So I'm going to go grab my stock image, pull it into the page. And I want to cut his body off along the bottom edge of where our city image is. So I'll do that by going back to this rectangle. In fact, I'm going to rename that clipping area. And I want to select all of this. So I'll do that by holding down Command on a Mac. I think it's Control on a PC. And you'll notice that the cursor, when I hold down Command, it changes to this sort of dotted square. And that's for the selection. So I can click it, click the thumbnail, not the layer, the thumbnail. And you'll see that this selection box appears. Then I want to go back to our marquee tool, select the rectangular marquee, make sure there's no feathering, 0 pixels. Hold down Shift, and I'm just going to select this additional area on top. So by holding Shift, we can add into that. Now go back, click on your stock image, and then click this little icon here, the layer mask tool. And then you'll see our guy, he only shows up in the area where we had selected. Uncheck this little chain icon here so we can move our guy upwards a little bit. I'm going to line his nose up just in the middle. And then I'm going to group both the city background that we've got and the stock image into one folder. I'm going to call that my feature image. And I'm going to change it to green. Alright, so now we've got our feature image in place. I want to add some sort of creative effects to help add some depth to the top half of our flyer. So follow very carefully with what I do now. I'm going to select the city folder. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to call it city blur. Then I'm going to right click and convert to smart object. I'm then gonna place this on top of our stock image layer. I'm gonna take the city blur and I'm just gonna slide it down a little bit like that until about halfway down the layer matches the bottom of our original city image. All right, so now on our stock image layer, I'm going to take the mask we've already created. I'm going to hold down the Alt key and I'm going to click and drag this mask onto our city blur layer. Then I'm going to just click in between the two thumbnails to add the chain icon that we got rid of before. All right, now I'm going to drag this layer just over here like that. And then I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And about 5 is fine. I'm then going to duplicate the layer again and take it behind the stock image and behind the city that we've already got. Oops. So it looks something like that. All right. So just put those in a folder. Blur. Blur. On top of this layer, the background city blur layer, add a new layer. Get the brush tool out. Just select your basic brushes. Use a black, just add a little bit of a shadow. Just to help add that depth. Call that shadow. And then again, underneath this layer, so it's underneath the city blur, but on top of the stock image. Add another little bit of a shadow like that. I don't want it to show in the bottom, just on the top there. Okay, so that's our header image section. Looks like it's coming together. All right, now I want you to select the brush tool again, create a new layer, select white, and with a brush of about 500 pixels, the hardness set to 0%, just click in the middle of the page, then select the move tool, V on the keyboard, and I want you to squash this down. And then move it on top. Squash it a little bit more. And then I want to rotate it around until it's in line with our blurred city image. Okay, and then just take it to the edge like that. Actually, I'm going to put it over here. Duplicate it. All right, call them light. I'm going to put it underneath this blur image, this blur folder, but above the stock image. Okay, now we've got all our feature image and the header section of the flyer complete. I'm going to add some text. We're going to add the name of our DJ, the nightclub, the date, etc. I'm going to use Railway font for FlyerHeroes Pro members and customers on FlyerHeroes. You'll have seen me using this font quite a lot recently. It has a whole bunch of weights with it. it's an open source font. It's really great to use. All right, anyway, let's get on with doing this. So I'm gonna call our DJ Blade. Put it in all caps. I'm gonna make the size around 70. I'm gonna make it black with the word DJ, or the letters, should I say. I'm gonna make those thin. But first, actually, I should make a dark background section for us to place the text on top of. So go into our feature image folder, go to the city image, the clipping mask here. I want you to duplicate that. And the duplicated layer that you've got, just drag it out. And we'll call it text background. Just slide that down until it's around, until you've got it in a position like that. Reduce the opacity to 80%. I'm just going to turn that text back on. Keeping the text aligned to the center here. Around our DJ's name, I'm going to place a border. I'm going to do that by selecting the shape tool, the rectangular shape tool, and just drawing a box around him like this. Around the name, sorry. I'm then going to, with the layer selected, I'm going to set the fill to 0%. I'm going to double click and add a stroke. Add that in white. Make a thick border around 50 pixels there. Set the position to inside, so it has the nice hard edges, hard corners. And then rename this stroke. Select the stroke and the title text layer. Select the move tool and then just align the horizontal and vertical centers. And then group those together, call it title, or just call it DJ Blade. I'm going to group the DJ Blade folder that I just made and the text background into another group, and I'm going to call it text, and I'm going to color it red. Again, keeping the layers panel organized and easy to use. Alright, so I'm going to add some more text in here. Obviously, the text that you want to use is going to be completely different, so you can just follow along with what I do, but there's no need to take too much notice of it. FlyerHeroes present. I'm going to set that to black, nice and thick, and around 12 for the size. And then I actually want to increase the tracking. I'm going to jump that up to, just to separate the letters out a little bit, stretch it. FlyerHeroes present DJ Blade. Now, of course, this could be your nightclub or something like that, your promotion company, your client name. Okay, underneath that, there's going to be some additional DJs, so supported by DJs Hayes and Visnik. I'm just making these names up. And I'm going to set this, I'm going to make it a bit thinner, set it to medium, and make it a little bit bigger. Reset the tracking. Set onto small caps, actually make it a little smaller. Again, line it in the center here. Alright, so where is this event taking place? We need a space for the nightclub name. I'm going to add a similar effect to what I did with the DJ Blade, and I'm going to make this the words club, I'm going to make them black, and then I'm going to make the word venue, I'm going to make that light. Okay, needs to a little bit bigger. I'm just going to make this supporting DJ's text a little smaller actually. This is something I'm always quite particular about. I spend a lot of time just messing around with the sizes of text until I've got like the hierarchy quite nice. I'm just going to tidy up this this layers panel, and I like to keep my, where possible, I like to keep the layers panel in order as I see it on the flyer. So you'll see, you know, FlyerHeroes present, and then underneath that is DJ Blade, underneath that is supported by DJ's Haze, etc. That's how I see it on the canvas. That's how I want to see it in the layers panel. I know some of my designer friends, they like to do it the other way around, but this is what I like to do. All right, the date. So let's say Thursday, the 5th Jan. Take all caps off that. Put all caps on, should I say. And I'm going to do the same as I've done here. I'm going to make this black, make this light. But I'm going to make it a bit smaller. All right, and then in the footer, just a little bit of information text. So you can put your club address, you can put entry requirements, details, ticket price, whatever. I'm just going to put some standard text that I always put on these flyers. Get more club flyer templates like this from www.flyerheroes.com. When I write URLs on flyers, I like to select the www and the .com, and I like to make those small caps. I think it looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. All right, so now I got my basic text on here. I just want to make sure I'm happy with everything. I think I'm going to make this club venue text a little bit bigger. I want to make sure everything looks okay. Maybe move everything up a nudge. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Let me just check this. Increase the tracking a little bit. All right, so the last thing that I want to do now is just add some adjustments. I want to just brighten up the page a little bit. Overall, this is quite dark. I'm going to do that by adding an adjustment layer. Clicking on this little half moon sort of icon down at the bottom and clicking on levels. I want to add a levels adjustment layer. I'm going to drag the midline little toggle, drag that to the right a tiny bit, and then this far right toggle here, move it over to the left, and you can see the the white areas, the lighter areas, they're just getting a little bit brighter. I don't want to take it too far, but I think around there looks pretty good. I'm going to put that in its own folder called adjustments. I'm going to call that blue. And then just to add a little bit more sparkle to the image, remember this light that we made before, this light layer in the feature image folder, and the light, just go grab one of those, duplicate it, drag it out on top. And yeah, I just move it around. I'm going to just overlay one on the image there. Put one down here. I'm just going to keep duplicating these and just add them around so it looks like kind of specks of light are flashing across the page. Just keep adding these guys about. Yeah, I like adding little things like this at the end just to give some more energy to the design. Especially with nightclub flyers, you want them to have a good energy to them. Very vibrant. But at the same time, I don't want to go overboard. I think that's enough. Alright, I'm going to put all these into their own layer, into their own group. Again, just call it light. And then I'm going to group both the blue folders. Just call that my elements folder. And there we go. I think we are done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please try and find your way to the FlyerHeroes blog post where this tutorial is published. I would prefer to answer all the questions on one big post, but if you want to ask on YouTube or on Facebook, I will do my best to reply to all comments. Thank you very much, and of course, if you want to get more flyer designs like this, we have over 700 templates available at FlyerHeroes.com. Thank you very much for watching.